Better late than never, better late than never, forever hard to measure. I might see my future fall away, but you control time, so my future do what you say. Good day. I'm not sure who out there is listening, tuning in, but I'm glad you guys are pulled up on the podcast. Better late than never is the theme, and I have a very special guest today. It's kind of weird for me to not call him Coach U because that's what I know him as, and he's not coaching anymore in the traditional sense of sports. But I call him Coach U. He's played a significant role in my own development. But I have with me Coach Ulrick Edmonds. Coach U, introduce yourselves. How you doing, good sir?
Hey, what's up, Quintrell? How you doing, my man?
I'm blessed. I cannot complain, sir. Cannot complain. Thank you for joining me on the podcast today. Hope all is well.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. All is well. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. So I'm Ulrick Edmonds. Man, born and raised in Blackstone, Virginia, small country town in VA, with about 1,200 people. And yeah, that's it. And I played football, baseball, basketball, ran track. Well, let me preface that. Threw the shot put in disc on the track team, and then went to James Madison University on a football scholarship and ended up playing there for 4 years. And then after I finished with my degree in psychology, minor in criminal justice, I decided to coach. Right, so I was the bottom of the bottom on the totem pole, uh, and that season, the JMU football team I think was 2-9. And so I was like, man, something different to do. So I stopped coaching and I went to graduate school there at James Madison and ended up getting my master's degree in college student personnel administration. And then fast forward a couple years after that, Coach Mickey Matthews, who man is a great friend, a mentor of mine, said, "Hey, Yorick, I'd like for you to coach the running backs." And I was like, "Coach, do you know I didn't play running back?" He's like, "Yeah, I know you didn't play running back." um, but I started coaching the running backs, and then 2004 was that year. Had a great season, won a national championship, and then I coached from 2004 to 2017 at various places, and then decided to make a career shift, right? Just a shift. And I think that shift was, God telling me, "Hey, I have something now better and more important than that for you to do." And it was to, one, refocus my life on my faith. Two, refocus my faith, my emphasis on my family. Right, at the time it was my wife, and then our two kids. Now it's my wife, and we have three kids. And then the third thing was not only re-emphasizing the focus on my family, but supporting my family, not only financially, but emotionally and spiritually, and just being present there. And so we fast forward to now. I run a multi-generational planning firm, which we just launched our DBA, Ulrick Edmonds and Associates, where we help and assist our clients, which most of them are growing families, business owners, professional and college athletes, just attain financial independence and grow their wealth so that they can do things that they never thought that they could do for themselves.
Man, that's powerful. Coach, I really didn't know all of those things about you. I was obviously lucky enough to be coached indirectly by you, just being a part of the football program. But I think one of your part of your story is kind of like three things that I really think are impressionable for me personally. One is like your intentionality with how you navigate your career, because I think a lot of us need like just some just pragmatic coaching and guidance for like how do you go from point A to point B because it's not always clear. The second thing is I think the emphasis of like how you have utilized faith. I think all of us are on a very different journey, but it seems like that's played a huge role in your just how you've
Yeah.
navigated your personal life and negotiated your values. And then lastly, I think financial literacy. You kind of hinted at it with with you being a financial advisor and starting your own firm. So those are three things that made an impression on me. I want to set us up for the reason why I'm even having these convos is focusing on like it's never too late for us to be the best version of ourselves. And like I think that for me, you've known me as a former student athlete, but like I was kicked off the football team. And so
Mhm.
it really took me a lot of time to just have the confidence to acknowledge like, okay, Q, you fumbled the bag here. But then that plays so much of an impression in my long-term development of like, all right, how can you overcome adversity? Like you got to normalize this. And what are you going to do with it for your own future? And I do think a lot of us get stuck in our careers, our dreams, our families because of like limiting beliefs and barriers. Can
Yeah.
you kind of bring I would love to go to like the young coach you. Um you talked a little bit about like your journey in sports, and I know you as a coach, but like tell me a little bit about like those earlier years for you personally that were like formative in your development, that were kind of maybe hinge moments. I don't know if that's exclusively through your time playing sports. You talked about coming from a small town, but can you speak a little bit about like the development in the formative years of Coach U?
Yeah, I always, I always draw that question back to, I won't say any names, right? But um, I was in high school, and my cousin, right? Call him Big Mo. He's still my cousin, but he was a star. He was a football star. He was a basketball star. He went on to have some great issues, but went on to Fort Union, and then went to UVA, and then went to played in the NFL, played on the Patriots team, won a Super Bowl, right? So that was the person that I always looked up to. But fast forward to when I was in ninth grade, I went into my guidance counselor's office and I said, "Hey, Mrs. Such and Such, I want to go play college football." And she was like, "Well, where do you want to go play college football at?" So I want to go to UVA or UNC or NC State or Michigan. And she was like, well, you're not in the right classes to be able to do that." And I said, well, why am I not, Mrs. Such and Such? And she said, "Well, I thought you wanted to be with your friends and just kind of hang out for the rest of your life in Blackstone, Virginia." And that has had a everlasting impact on me.
So, what is the Job Success Accelerator? I'm glad you asked. The Job Success Accelerator is career readiness, it's professional skills for the real world, it's communication, teamwork, and conflict navigation. The Job Success Accelerator is built with two core publications, our Preparing for Job Success and Essentials for the Job Search curriculum. It's proven content transformed into practice. This program gives participants the tools to land jobs and the skills to keep them. It prepares youth, young adults, and professionals in transition. We partner with local, state, and federally funded programs, with K-12 schools, universities, nonprofits, community-based organizations, one-stop operators, justice-involved programs, career, technical centers, and much more. The Job Success Accelerator is flexible, in-person or virtual, facilitated by us or licensed for your team to implement. So, what is the Job Success Accelerator? It's the difference between showing up for work and being ready for success.
To be an advocate for what I want. And
Mm,
I've not always been the most, um, some people probably won't believe this, but the person that talks the most. And sometimes I get in situations and I just listen. But I want to make sure that my actions from that point on really show people what I wanted to do. Right. So although I may have been, upset with her about, stereotyping me into this, hey, he doesn't want to do much anything with his life but just hang out in this small town. Well, hey, I got to take a introspective look at my actions probably showed her that.
yeah.
And so from that point on, it was like, hey, York, make sure at the age of, I don't know, I probably was 14 years old, like make sure your actions are really depicting, hey, not only where you want to be, but where you want to go.
Okay.
And as a young professional, as a young coach, as a young student, going through college, like, hey, that wasn't 100% what I did every single day, right? But it was the second part of it was relationships that grounded me to bring me back to where I needed to be to ensure that I was depicting through my actions like where I wanted to be and where I wanted to go. And so I would, you know, put a big emphasis on relationships. It's just relationships that I was fortunate enough to have with some people, as a young coach, that just poured into me, right? As a young coach, I didn't have any responsibilities, on the field as a coach, and I didn't have any outside of it, right? So I had to kind of work hard and make my path to where I did have the responsibilities that I desired and that I wanted. So that's, kind of what I've always had in the back of my mind, right? That, brought to the forefront of my actions just to make sure that, hey, wherever you want to be, whatever you want to do, your actions have to say those things, right?
Yeah.
I can't say I want to be this great person and my actions show that I'm being an average person.
Yeah. That's powerful. And so what I heard from you, coach, was I'm assuming this is probably like early high school age where you started that convo with your whoever that key uh advisor was,
Yeah.
administrator, educator was. They pretty much said, well, based off what I see, it don't seem like you want to, like, you have what it takes to go to these universities. I hear you telling me, but I don't see the evidence. And I think you used the word responsibility, like that kind of shaped you taking a sense of responsibility. I would kind of add, I love the word recently, ownership has been
Hmm.
kind of prevalent, where you just think about, for me in my own life, if I want something, if I have a goal, I gotta have to have a personal ownership of it. And so that's what I'm
Right.
hearing from you. um I want to ask you this because you're served, just being a black man, obviously a man of God. When I got a chance to cross paths with you is during my formative years, being a young 18 to 20-year-old kid trying to figure out what I want to do with my life. So
Yeah.
ownership was not there. I would say I had a strong sense of entitlement and expectation for success, but owning like what it takes to be a successful, college student athlete, I just wasn't there. Tell me a little bit about like your world of work when for the time that you spent coaching young kids, not young adults, I should say. Like how was that? Like what would might have been like your motivation as a coach to be a coach? What might have even been some of the trials that you've seen, like as you're trying to obviously win games, but you're developing young men. What did you see in that world of work during those times?
Yeah, I mean, you said something right. Like, I think everybody has to be motivated by something, right? And at that point in my life, I was what, 22, 23, 24 years old. Man, I was motivated to win, right? And I was motivated to win because, earlier as a child, I always won. When I got to college, we kind of didn't win. At the end of my career, we won, right? At the beginning of my coaching career, we didn't win. Throughout my career, we won. So I wanted to make sure that I could, impart what I had, the energy, right? Because as a young coach, hey, looking back at it, I didn't have much wisdom, right? But I had a lot of energy to say, hey, I want to make sure that we have the energy and we have the actions to make sure that we're in a position to win. Right. That was
Yeah,
that was me. That was me. I was the guy that was, hey, running around, jumping around, talking to guy, yelling, screaming, because I just wanted the energy to be winning energy. And I think that was the biggest motivation for me when I started coaching. And I think to this day, now 45 years old, that's probably the most important thing that anyone can have is a winning energy, right? When you wake up today to do whatever you want to do, if you have bad energy, you're probably not going to get accomplished what you want. But if you have winning energy that flows through you, flows through other people, flows through your actions, you're going to win, right? Not only, on the field, but, in life. And that's the one thing too, right? That I always the winning to me was, my mom and dad. My father never finished high school, right? My mother went back after she worked to, get her high school diploma, or undergraduate degree, a graduate degree of divinity, a degree in divinity. But I wanted these young men that I had the opportunity to encounter with. I wanted them to win in that space too, because not a lot of people get an opportunity to go to an institution of higher education,
right, right.
right? Like that's something that I've always just out of my graduating class, my best friends and stuff, like half of them didn't. So you said something about, hey, entitlement, right? But it was something that people, had to work hard for, and not everybody had that opportunity for whatever reason.
Yeah. Now that's powerful, coach. I'm gonna put you on the spot. I'm gonna preface it and then I'll put you on the spot here.
Yeah,
Um, so I kind of talked about this better late than never. It means so much to me because I'm a career coach by trade to
yeah,
like get underneath the roots because like I have an expertise of helping people with resumes, job search strategy. But I realize like when I work with clients or I coach other people, like those things I can teach them they can be proficient at. Like I can do those things with my eyes closed. But I realize people don't get stuck because of like their ability to like, to do a resume. Just like you would think about an athlete, like they're not gonna not be successful just because they run fast. It's something underneath the hood. So for me, mindset is a huge thing. So I'm
yeah,
prefacing it that I've learned because of me being kicked off the football team. Like you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't have discipline, if you don't got self-control, if you don't have work ethic, and there's a number of different characteristics, you won't be successful. You might have short-term, success, but it's not going to be sustainable. And I think
yeah,
like I'll give you some names, and I'm prefacing this because I would love for you to kind of think about whether from your experience as a player, as a coach, people that just like stood out, they were very, very special, and you identified there's some unique characteristics. So my roommate was Arthur Moats. He's gone on to play 10 years in the NFL. What stood out to me about being so close to Moats was not necessarily his talent, but he would never let anybody like outwork him. But also simultaneously, he was probably the most coachable person I saw. And I didn't know that at the time, but I noticed like he always gravitated towards feedback. And that was something that I always struggled with. I didn't like negative feedback. And then
hmm
another person that always stood out to me was K Dub. So Kevin Winston. His son just got
yeah,
drafted. I looked up to K Dub because, like, sometimes in life you're gonna have like people are just gonna be more talented than you. They're gonna be bigger, faster, stronger. K Dub was like 100 220 pounds, and
yeah,
he was like would never lose a battle. And so that taught me something in life of like, despite the physical tools that you might have, like you can conquer anything if you just like be disciplined and have the right technique. So those are two names I'll give you, but I'm curious from your vantage point as a player and a coach, who are some special people that you got a chance to cross path with and what made them unique? What made them special?
yeah. I say special and unique. Man, it's three people that really stand out to me, and they're all from my coaching career. And then it's a fourth person that's special. I'll go through them each pretty fast, but it's a fourth person. The first one I coached at James Madison, Eugene Holloman. So Eugene had what made him special was his perseverance. So Eugene had, some great games, and then Eugene got some crazy injury to like his quad, his hamstring that kind of like took him back. But Eugene always showed up with a smile on his face. He always showed up ready to work. He always was open about his emotions, his feelings, and saying that, hey, I'm having a tough day, man. But he bounced back. He bounced back with a bang and had a great finish to his career. A great finish to his career. That's one person, and he was special because of his perseverance. And I think Eugene was unique because of his outlook on life. I really do
Wow.
think that those two things were really important to make him special and unique. Um, and then Jacoby Brissett, right? Jacoby Brissett was at NC State. I was with the quarterbacks there, and man, Jacoby might not have been the best player in the ACC, the best quarterback in.
It was good, family. Better Late Than Never is more than just an album. It's a concept that it's never too late for us to change our mindsets and our lifestyles. This project was exclusively produced by my homeboy, Matlock, who has produced for some of the best artists in the world, including Lil Wayne. You guys can catch this project and stream it on all platforms, including Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, you name it, it's there. As you guys tune in to Better Late Than Never, it's my prayer that this project helps you to live a purpose-driven life. Be blessed.
ACC. But every Sunday that I turn the TV on, he's with an NFL team. I think he's been in the NFL for like 10, 12 years, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And the thing that, made him, I think, special and unique is that Jacoby knew where he wanted to be, and he knew that he belonged where he wanted to be. So he put in the work to be able to be right where he is today. Now, I don't know if he's still on a team roster today, but just to know that he believes, hey, he knew where he wanted to be in, but he believed that he belonged there. I mean, that's what made him special and unique. And then I got two more people, but the third one is Alex Highsmith. So Alex Highsmith is an outside linebacker that plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I coached Alex at UNC Charlotte. And Alex, his freshman year, didn't play a whole lot. His sophomore year didn't play a whole lot when he probably should. I remember he had 2 games, at the end of the season at UTSA that were just phenomenal games. And so maybe playing 3 games his first 2 years, Alex Highsmith knew like what he wanted. He wanted to be a starter. Nope, he didn't. Alex Highsmith wanted to play in the NFL and be one of the best outside linebackers that there ever was. Like he wanted that after not playing his freshman and sophomore year. And let's go back even further. Alex Highsmith was a walk-on that was offered one opportunity to walk on at a Division I school by UNC Charlotte. One. He was offered one walk-on opportunity. Alex Highsmith didn't earn a scholarship probably until after his second season during the offseason because he was one of the hardest workers on the entire team. The hardest workers. Like he worked his way to a scholarship. But even though during that time, what makes him special and unique, like he didn't want to be the best outside linebacker at UNC Charlotte. Like when he was there, he wanted to be one of the best players to ever play the game in the NFL. And so he's there now. He's having success. And I think he's going on year 7. And the thing that made him special and unique is just, man, Alex understood like how to work. But this is where I think he excels more than a lot of other people. He understood how to listen to those people that were partnered with him to teach him skills.
Okay.
There's not a lot of people in this world today that are willing to, know they have this great ability, but are still willing to get better at their craft by listening and taking complete ownership of, getting better from the person that is coaching them at that time. I mean, that's what made him and what makes him so unique. Just his mindset of like, hey, I'm gonna be the best, one of the best, outside linebackers in the NFL after not even playing his first 2 years. Like most people would think he's crazy, but he thought he was doing exactly what he was supposed to do. So and since then, I mean, he's just done some amazing things, right? He has a foundation. He gives back to the community in Charlotte and Wilmington. Just is a really good man who's done things the right way, and is very humble. But his uniqueness is because of his work ethic, right?
Right.
And then the last one, and this is just dear to my heart. I have 3 daughters, but one of my daughters, Halen, is a gymnast. And so December the 5th on 2023, she broke her wrist in 2 places. And she was out. She's a competitive gymnast. She was out for 8 months.
Wow.
And so fast forward to just this past season, she medaled and was the overall winner in the Simone Biles tournament at her age level in Houston, Texas.
Wow.
And for her to stand up on that podium at 7 years old, to think back to what she went through, not being able to do anything for 8 months, and the amount of work that she put in at such a young age. I mean, that's just, I mean, it's inspiring to me anytime I feel like, I can't make another call. I can't have another meeting. I can't do this anymore. Like a 7 year old that was out for 8 months decided that she was going to do all that she could do to be the best that she could be. And she ended up doing it. And so
Wow.
with those four people, I kind of saved it to the end. I read this book called The 12-Week Year, and it's left a major impression on me. And the one concept that they talk about in that book is that we all have goals, we all have dreams, we all have aspirations. And so we start off and we're on fire. But then we come into some challenges and we kind of go down. And then some of us kind of go a little bit back up, almost get to back to where we are. And then we just say, oh, that's too hard. And we pick another goal. And then again, we're successful, we're motivated because we're starting something new again. And it's like, we going at it. And that allows people to be successful in life. But the really, really successful people in life, right? And I challenge myself with this every day. They are really good at executing
Mm.
from start to finish on the goals that they have. And I think all of these people, Eugene, Alex, Jacoby, my daughter, Halen, and they all do a phenomenal job of executing, right?
Mm.
Executing is an action where you have to do something consistently every single second, minute, day, week, month to get to where you want to get to. Right. So I think the execution that those four people, and even Arthur Moats and Kevin Winston, right, the execution that they displayed is just phenomenal. And that's why they were so successful at what they did and what they're doing. And if you look around, man, that's the only difference in people that are truly highly, highly successful as to those people that are just, successful or even average or below average. It's the execution of the goals that we set forth before ourselves.
Mm. Man, coach, that's poetic. It's so important. Those values you talked about, you talked about a number of values through the different people you mentioned, but summarizing it up in the importance of execution. And
Yeah.
I would sort of add this, like through my worldview of like when I think about how we navigate careers, how do we go from one place to another? It's not always going to be linear. Matter of fact, it's rarely very linear, because you are a testament of like I'm a approach my world of athletics to hopefully, I don't know what's going to happen with it, but that
Right.
led you to coaching, then that led you to college student personnel, then back to coaching, and now where you are now as an entrepreneur, as a financial advisor, but also operating your own business and hiring people. Like that's not linear. No, if I'm sure if you look back 20 years ago, you probably wouldn't have, characterized where you would be now in such a way. So I think the values you talked about, execution, is a part of that. In your own words, coach. Oh, hey, it's you again. The one that is watching this content but ain't subscribed to the channel. Listen, I'm a YouTube embryo, but I have dreams of one day being a full-grown YouTube man. In order to get there, I need your help. Subscribe to the channel. I am trying to help people in their dreams, their callings, and careers, and to help scale that growth, all you got to do is help a brother by hitting that subscribe button. Bless your brother so I can bless others. It's that simple. Be blessed. Somebody that has transitioned careers, um, like how would you help somebody that's kind of stuck? Like it can be in the lines of perhaps one of your colleagues as a coach that's thinking about transition, or a student athlete that's at the tail end of their career. What would you say? And I'll also add this, like people like that are like you and I that have been in the workforce for about 20 years that don't know what they want to do. In your own words, what feedback, what guidance would you give them to figure out how to go from point A to point B? How do you navigate the uncertainty of career to ultimately get to where you want to be? What would you say to them?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think it's very simple. And I'm going to give actionable steps. I would take out a piece of paper and I would write down the three things that are most important to me. And then after those three things that are most important to me, I would really think about the purpose. Like, what's my purpose on this earth?
Good.
Right? For me, my purpose on this earth is to serve others. That's my purpose. And so I think if you have the three things that are most important to you, and if you have your purpose, like if you just sit back and look around, your eyes will be open to what you're supposed to do.
Mhm.
Right. And then it's just simply being ready to get up with great energy and fight every single day to ensure that you live your purpose.
That's simple.
It's that simple.
Mm.
You know, February the 19th, 2018, I sat down in bed and had my phone with me and I took out notes and I said, "Hey God, like talk to me. What's the most important thing in my life?" And it was my faith, it was my family, and it was supporting my family.
Mhm.
And it's not easy every day to keep those three things up there because there's so many other things that are going on. But I have the best days and I have the most enjoyment and fulfillment in life when I'm able to keep those three things in order right where they are and then live in my purpose of serving people. Like,
Yeah,
it's the best days I ever have, right? If I get off track with that, for too long, hey, it might not be great of a day. But I think it's that simple, right? What's three things that are most important to you? And that's gonna drive you, right? Like when you have a tough day, it's like, hey, you know what? Like, man, how can I support, my family better, right? Hey, man, you know what? I got to pick this phone up and I got to call. Or I got to go make this deal, or I got to go and see this person, right? It just, hey, you're doing it for somebody else, just not yourself, right? You're doing it so you can have a fulfilled and enjoy life. But I would just say that simple, right? Three things that are most important to you, and then really think about your purpose,
I
right?
love that.
Really think about your purpose.
Man, that's powerful. That's powerful. So I want to get slightly granular, coach. Because for me, one of the things that always helps is context. And I love when people are able to contextualize what and see what other people do professionally. So on the
Yeah,
surface, I think most of us know what a financial advisor does. But the two questions that I have for you is like, can you tell me a little bit about like your transition? Like how was it? Like what did it look like going from coaching to being a financial advisor? Like what did that transition look like? But then issue if you can also tell us like what do you do in your world of work as a financial advisor?
yeah. I'm taking notes so I can answer the question. But the transition, right? What did that transition look like? If you had to look in my brain at that time, it was a train wreck. But someone in church, it reminded me, and I used to say this all the time. I used to share it with my players, but it was a statement that says we're all constantly under construction,
Oh,
right? We're all constantly under construction, right? We're not done. Today, you and I, we're not done. Like, we're still growing, we're still learning, we're still on this earth to do something great, right? So I would say, hey, the transition in my mind at the time, man, it was a train wreck. But really it was just a beautiful mess, right? God had to put me in places, in situations, tested me, so that I would grow and mature and to be able to be where I am today. And if I'd have looked back 20 years from now, 20 years before, I'd have never saw me here. But I'm a man of great faith, and they say, hey, when the plans that we make, God looks at us and laughs. Well, you know what? I'm glad that He laughed at the plan that I had, and that He has allowed me to live through the one that He has for me. Um, so to answer your question, the transition, I mean, it's tough, right? You got to get up, you got to fight, you got to find the energy, you got to find the will. But it helped once I just sat down and said, hey, these things are important to me, and I live through my purpose. Um, and then, hey, what do I do on a daily basis? I'm half psychologist, half financial advisor. Um,
I love okay.
but really, I tell people this: when I have the first conversation. I said, I run a multi-generational planning firm that focuses on financial independence. And so two things there, right? I grew up in a small town with small house and had lots of love, right? But the one thing that I think that, and I know that we all can have as Americans is a multi-generational plan. And it only takes one person to start it. And then for generations and generations and generations, that plan will stay intact. And so the thing that I do is I partner with people, right, that want to elevate their world financially, whether they make $100,000 and want to get to 500, or whether they make 1 million and want to get to 5 million, or whether they make 5 million and want to get to 100 million. We help people elevate their financial world. And the ending of that, like financial independence, right? So I want to make sure that everyone in this world, because I truly believe that everybody deserves it and everybody can have it, is that we have financial independence. And financial independence is being able to do what you want, when you want, with who you want, and never have to worry about money. The statistics are out there, right? Money is the number one reason for divorce, for suicide, for depression, for all of these things. And the simple thing that no one really focuses on is like, hey, why is this happening? And I think it's simple. And because people don't have a plan.
Yeah.
Right? If you went to the doctor and you were gonna have heart surgery, the doctor would put together a plan and he would talk you through that plan. And then you would do your part to lay down on the bed and he would execute. Well, it's the same thing, right? You have financial goals. You want to retire. You want to save for your kids. You want to buy a beach house. You want to buy a second home. All right, let's.
Me to help people to align and maximize their calling with their purpose. And one of the ways that I do that is through writing. My first book is called Purpose Driven Work, which focuses on helping people to get unstuck in their dreams, callings, and their careers. My second book is Purpose Driven Coaching, which really focuses on helping educators, leaders, and workforce development professionals to use coaching to make an impact on individuals' lives. And then lastly, my most recent book is called On Purpose Leadership, which I wrote with my homeboy Vat Lee, which focuses on cultivating leadership for teams and organizations. You guys can purchase any one of my books on Amazon. Y'all be blessed out here, man.
Put it on paper. Let's create a plan to make sure we're tracking towards it, and let's execute it. So when you ask me, right, like what I do, I'm half psychologist, half financial advisor, because it's really just allowing people to say, hey, if you want something, we just need to create a plan.
Yeah.
And if you're the type of person, right, that has vision and it has work ethic, just like I tell people, just like you've ended up right here where you are at this great position, at this great company, and you're going to achieve and attain this goal that you have financially. And so with that, like we work with, our clients on 6 areas, right? Cash flow planning, making sure that we have money going to the right places, right? Making sure we got a budget. Investment planning, right? Making sure that we're saving for our kids' education. It just doesn't happen. And every kid is not going to get a scholarship. Like it's just not, the numbers say that that's not true. And so that's one part. The second part is retirement planning, right? Retirement planning to say, you know what? I like to call it work optional. You may want to retire never. You might want to retire tomorrow, but I want to make sure that you have a position in your life that you're work optional. And then the last 3 is insurance planning, right, man? The basis of life insurance, right? Disability insurance for older, long-term care. Like that's a part of your financial game plan that should be tied into, hey, your financial plan.
Right.
And then the last 2, tax planning, right? Making sure that, hey, we're growing assets. And when we pull those assets out and they're taxed in an efficient way, there's no reason that Uncle Sam should get half of the money that you have for retirement. There's no reason, right? It's no reason. But what most people don't know, if we just only put money in our 401k, that's what's going to happen. But it's other places we can put dollars. And then the last thing is will, trust, and estate planning. Like making sure that whatever happens, that what our clients want to happen will happen, and we have a legally binding document to make sure that that happens. And so I tell people all the time, like, it's no way that we can do all of those things, right, in 1 year. It's just no way, right? But if we have a financial coach, we have a financial team that can guide us as we change life, as our goals change, as our life changes, hey, we can work toward positioning ourselves to have everything that we want. And in my mind, right, what we should want is a multi-generational plan that allows us to be financially independent.
Mm. That's powerful. That's powerful. It's so much follow-up questions. And for the sake of time, I have a hard stop in about 7 minutes. But what I really want to emphasize, I love that you talked about half of your job is part psychologist, the other half is planning, because I think our relationship with money is so vulnerable to like how we were raised. And then also the idea that you don't know what you don't know. So I
Yeah.
love that like you really place an emphasis on the mindsets, I'm assuming the psychologies of people and the things that kind of influence that. And what I keep hearing as a repeat theme for you personally, and what you've appreciated about like coaching other people is execution. So I heard execution, even though you use the word planning in those different six buckets, you helping people to execute. Like I got to get you from point A to point B.
Yeah.
So I hear that. The last question I want to ask you, Coach, is you're somebody that I look up to, and I think you reached out to me right before COVID, and I don't know how important you knew that you thought that was for me, but it was extremely important. As I mentioned, like being kicked off the football team for me, I had a lot of conversations in the last 6 months that helped me to get me some languages what I was going through, but I lost my sense of like identity.
Mm-hmm.
I lost my tribe, my social circle. And so when all those things stripped apart from me, I'm gonna use me language. Um, like I just felt like kind of alone. Like it was definitely struggling with some depression. And the time that you reached out, like I would say I was kind of on the upswing of those things. But just imagine it, like that took 15 years of coping.
Yeah.
But when you reached out, like we didn't talk about like what happened. What was really impressionable for me was just your presence and like you you kind of being inquisitive about how I was doing as a person. We talked a little bit about finances, but we talked a lot about just like life and faith and family. So
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you, like personally say thank you, because of somebody like you kind of represent just being a former coach that I work with, like you represent like a source of like past trauma. Not that you've done anything, but you represent now so much more of like my own personal healing, somebody that I
Yeah.
look up to. And like just the fact that you served as a piece that was instrumental to my development in the second part of my life is very, very powerful. So I just want to say thank you and I appreciate that. The last question I ask is if you were to write a book, Coach, and like I hear a lot about your personal mission, the values. I hear a lot about execution. What would your book be titled? What would be the focus of your book? And who would you If you're listening to this video or watching this video, you are part of what I call the better late than never journey. And as a part of that journey, not only do I have these dope podcast interviews and these individuals from all walks of life, I also have a book that captures this, that's meant to really help all of us in our dreams, callings, and careers, and probably most importantly, to navigate those three things as we wrestle with our relationship with time. So it's taken me quite some time to publish this book, to really write this book and to publish it, but it's coming soon. If you look behind me, you guys can kind of see I'm working diligently behind the scenes. You all can pre-order the book now. I got more than half of the book written. My goal is to publish this book November 2026. So tap in. If you want your copy of Better Late Than Never, Overcoming Fear and Failure to be the best version of yourself, go ahead and pre-order that book. You guys can support the movement and probably most importantly, help yourselves as you live out your dreams, callings, and careers. Talk to you soon. Be blessed. You like want to read it? Like if you can tell me a little bit about that.
Man, that's a great question. And I'm a copycatter, so I'm going to take somebody else's and just kind of make it mine. But it would be called Ulrich's edition of the 5 types of wealth. And the
Okay.
book will be 5 chapters. And there's 5 different types of wealth. And the first one is physical wealth. Then there's mental wealth. Then there's social wealth. And then there's financial wealth. And just stop right there. But in each one of those chapters, right, those 5 chapters, and I'm gonna dive deep into, hey, everything that I know about them that I would want to pass on to my kids' kids. And so if my kids' are reading it, I think my kids probably should read it as well. The most important type of wealth is time wealth. And I would write about that, right? Because we're all on limited time. And I read a book about this recently, and it just gave me a different perspective of, if something is not adding value to my life, if I'm not adding value to someone's life, if I'm not enjoying what I'm doing or who I'm talking to or the places that I am or the things that, I get to be a part of, like, I'm not going to be a part of it, because
Yeah.
time is so, so valuable. So in my book, right, those will be the 5 chapters. And I would write as much as I could about each and every one, right? How important it is, like, physically, to just move your body. Research has shown that people that move their body and that can lift weights and do these things, like, they live longer. Mental, right? We talked about mental wealth a lot, just you and I. Man, just having the right headspace is so, so important. Socially, right? Like, socially is like, who do you surround yourself with, and are they adding value to you? And I would write about all the different stories of football teams and businesses and, like, people that I've been around. And then, the financial part of it would be amazing, because there's so many nuggets that, hey, we could pass on, that I could pass on to other people, that if they started, man, they would essentially be multimillionaires, right? If I could talk to every parent that has a kid and say, hey, if you save $400 a month for your kid for the next 40 years, by the time they're 40, they'd be a multimillionaire. Like, $400,
Yeah.
multimillionaire. And now that kids are going to be multimillionaires.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be an open read to everybody that wants to just have a perspective on, hey, I think how life should be lived, right? There's 5 types of wealth, and invest your time and your energy into those types of wealth that'll essentially make you successful.
That's so good. I'm gonna chalk that up as a future New York Times bestseller.
Yeah.
Repeat the title one more time. Ulrick Edmonds, 5 types of wealth.
Yeah. Ulrick Edmonds, 5 types of wealth, right?
Gotcha. Gotcha. Coach, I really appreciate your time. Obviously that's one of the buckets of the types of wealth. You don't know how much of a blessing it is to me, but to whoever's listening out there, I know it's going to be a blessing to them. So thank you so much. The last thing, I know we're at time, is like, where can people get connected with you for the work that you do?
Yeah, Ulrick Edmonds and Associates is a full launch brand, and we're on the internet. We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, but just look us up, Ulrick Edmonds and Associates, and it'll pop up, and you can schedule a time to connect there.
Perfect. Awesome. Coach, I appreciate you. You have a blessed rest of your day.
Appreciate you, man. Blessings to you and your family.
Yes. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
Better late than never, better late than never, forever hard to measure. I might see my future fall away, but you control time, so my future do what you say.